Yo, what's up everyone, and welcome to another episode of Adaptive. Today on the pod, I have Caleb Brousseau, the local legend, a master of everything. Let's do this. So Caleb, first of all, for people that don't know you, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, you bet. A little bit about myself. Grew up Terrace, BC. Lived here kind of on and off my whole life. I've lived kind of other places in BC, but generally it's been my home. I've somehow always been drawn to sport and always kind of end up doing some sort of activity. Been married for the last 11 years. I have a nice dog named Pepper. I love traveling. What else about me? I love doing sports. So I've been an adaptive athlete now for 16 years. I got injured back in 2007. Sit skiing was my thing for quite a while. I really loved doing that. Did whitewater kayaking for 16 years, taught it for, 14 years. Really enjoyed doing that. Still really enjoy teaching it. I started mountain biking 4 or 5 years ago. We did a little podcast there on that, and that was really cool. Just as I started getting into it, was doing some adaptive trail building. Unfortunately, a year after that, I got in a fairly serious bike accident doing it, rolled the bike over, ended up breaking quite high on my neck, and so C4, C5 quadriplegic, so limited function in the arms and hands, which really just limited all of my sports that I was doing at the time and just really took a lot of them away. It was quite devastating and a lot of grieving kind of to get through that and figure it out. It's been 3 years now since then, which is wild how fast time goes, and then it feels like forever at the same time. And just kind of trying to figure out how to live life again, kind of with this level of disability and this level of difficulty, and it's a challenge for sure. But I've gotten to try out new sports since then. So I've got to play some wheelchair rugby. We got to do that locally here and around the province with the BC team. Not traveling with them anymore, but really fun to do it at the time. What other details would go over? I started paragliding after this injury, which is kind of a wild thing to do. Get to try new sports after an injury, which is pretty cool. And found it to be one of the sports that really allows me to have that freedom and time to myself and get to do things independently again, which is really cool. Like as a level of injury that I have, it's really hard to find time by myself and alone. Normally have someone around all the time. So just be able to find that space, it's really cool.
So there's a few things I'd like to ask, but also I just want to highlight that Caleb is a Paralympic medalist. So let's not forget that. Just a little.
The 2014 Paralympics.
Yeah, not a big deal. Whatever.
Yeah, alpine skiing and medaled in the Super G and bronze medal. But yeah, it was really cool. Like that experience all on its own. It's like a whole life, and it was really awesome.
Yeah. I didn't want to leave that out. I wanted to make sure that we covered that little topic, because it's not something that you just want to, brush over.
I forgot about that part.
Look at this medal on my chest. You have a different level of injury now, and you've been adapting to life with that different level of injury, and you're a very athletic person. You do like everything. So you've had to adapt and find different sports that bring you that, like you were saying, that independence, because now you tend to have someone or people around you more than before. So Tell me about the, well, let's talk about wheelchair rugby first. When did you get into that, and how did that come about?
So that came about, I learned about it when I first got injured in 2007. And as a paraplegic, you just don't qualify for it. It's a quad sport. And for people with 3 to 4 limbs affected for your disability. I thought it was really cool at the time. Murderball, the series had just come out. So getting to watch that was amazing. And yeah, this time after this injury, it was like, that was one of the first jokes that kind of got made. He's like, oh, look at that. I get to play quad rugby now. And yeah, when I started it, I was in rehab still. I got to do it in GF Strong and kind of try out the chairs. From there, they got to bring me out to see the World Cup finals at the Richmond Oval. And then from there, I got to actually hang out with the Vancouver League and start playing with them. I was still in rehab. And we started playing 1 day a week for the first 2 months, and then moved into 3 days a week with them consistently. Got to do it with a couple of people that are injured at the same time. So being able to go in at the same time as them with the same level, it was really cool to have that bond. And yeah, getting to hang out with Marta and the whole crew there, but it's really cool.
Nice. For people that don't know, wheelchair rugby can be hella violent.
Yeah, so wheelchair rugby is a full contact sport. Yeah, it doesn't really have many rugby rules because it was originally called murderball. It was designed for people with like low levels of function. Yeah, it's a really cool sport. Full contact. You get to use the chairs and hit each other as hard as you want, or as hard as the other opponent wants. And it's really cool how hard you get to like play, and you like being in rehab still and being so fragile and treated so lightly through everything you're doing, and then you can get put in this chair and experience like what it's gonna feel like, and it gets you that instant moment of like, okay, yeah, this is like I get to be myself, I get to do what I want.
Yeah. And that must have been pretty liberating, hey? Like, that must have been pretty, like, freeing, you know?
Yeah, really freeing to, like, be able to move around. It was funny because I got into the chair and I could barely push the rugby chairs, and these things roll. Like, if you barely touch them, they'll roll across the court, and I could barely push this thing around, and they would be across the court, and I would be a quarter way pushing across, and they'd score, and they'd be coming back, and I'd be halfway across the court. But it gave me a goal to kind of push forward and really work at. The other thing that was really cool with that is you get to see all of the other people that like similar levels to you, but they're, 3 years out, 6 years out, 12 years out, 20 years out of their injury, and see where they're at and what they're doing, and like how they adapted to life and how they're able to function and what level of independence they have at that point, which is really cool.
That's awesome because it connects you with the community, and because having an injury or a disability or whatever, it can be really isolating, right? And yeah,
especially in northern BC.
Yeah, especially.
It's very easy to get isolated, and even in rehab, you're very much isolated into rehab, right? They don't see very far out of these people's injuries, right? They get to follow them for 3, maybe 5 years, maybe. But that's like a few and far between that they actually follow that long. It's usually like 6 months to a year that they'll follow you, and there's very little contact after that. It's like once or twice over the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so just, yeah, you don't really get to see that like big picture of what it's going to look like. You're very much contained in that area, in your own mental space as well. And so being able to go out and hang out with these people that are living life just the way they want to, and seeing how that life works and looks, it's really cool.
Yeah, it must have given you like drive, right?
Yeah.
In those times when you were thinking, as we do when we have a disability, this sucks, blah, 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 and you're down. But yeah, it could be, it's awesome. I love it when I see people that are like myself doing cool things, and kind of just like it lights that fire under your butt.
Definitely. Being my second injury as well, I found that I didn't really have a huge fire in my butt. I was like, oh, no, I'll get there. I'll do it. Okay, fine. Yeah, sure. I was like, I was trying to be happy, trying to do it, but it's hard. It's hard to do it for a second time. So getting to see people that are like where they're at, being like, okay, so I do want to work out. I do want to get like stronger and be able to do all these things.
Yeah. Yeah, and you introduced wheelchair rugby to TELUS last winter. We were doing that at the Thornhill gym, and that was a lot of fun. It's actually a really hard sport to learn. It's quite technical.
Yeah, it's very technical. It's when you watch it, it doesn't look super technical. It looks fairly straightforward, but it's good, very very much chess style playing of the game. With the levels of different disability that you play on, you have your factors in there in your point system, and then you have to play that point system against the other point systems and the people that are in there. It really complicates the game, and it makes it very interesting that way. If it wasn't complicated and it's hard to learn strategy field, it would probably be fairly boring otherwise.
Yeah.
So yeah, like otherwise it'd just be a full contact running into each other, which like Red Rover is cool. It's definitely rugby's a lot more fun. Getting to introduce it to TELUS is really cool. Beforehand, they had wheelchair basketball kind of happening once a week in the same gym. There was like a little bit of interest there, and so being able to also get to bring the rugby chairs in and play that as well, and get to add everyone into that level of play, it was really cool.
Nice. Okay, so you get injured for the second time. You're in rehabilitation, and you're introduced to wheelchair rugby. That is like the first sport that you get introduced to as kind of like a quad. Now let's shift over to adaptive paragliding, and let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because that's a big part of your life right now.
Yeah, adaptive paragliding currently is like, it's funny. I try not to fall into the like identity through sport, but it's really hard sometimes because I find myself like I full dive when I go and do something. That's what I did, bring the full on.
Yeah. Go big or go home.
Yeah. Sometimes I go home.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I found paragliding. I found back in I think it was 2010. Sam Daniels was a guy that I was skiing with at the time, and he was taken to paragliding at the time and doing a lot of it, doing some pretty crazy adventure stuff, learning how to do the whole thing. That was in like 2010, and it just like, when I realized that was something that I'd be able to do in a chair, it was really cool. I started to think about it, but I was at the time just really getting into focusing into skiing at a national level. And so I just didn't have the time to pick it up then. And so it unfortunately didn't get to pursue the dream then. And I kind of didn't really follow along much with it after that. Kind of left my mind for a while. And then there was another time that it kind of popped up, and I think it was 2016, or 15, I was down for a kayak festival in Clearwater, for the Clearwater Festival down there with Matt Cass, and they were auctioning off paragliding at the time. And again, I didn't know a ton about it, just kind of peripherally, and was like, I really want to try this. And I think I ended up winning that auction. I talked to the guys, and they were like, well, we don't actually have the chair or the training to be able to take you. And I was like, oh, that's too bad. Okay, well, whatever. And I ended up getting a buddy, and they went, and that was really cool, and they really enjoyed it. Then again, like 2019. Yeah, 2019. I think it was 2019. I was talking to Shane Spencer. They were getting into it and really enjoying it. And I just started biking and starting to figure that out and do a trail building thing. I'm really enjoying that and loving it. And we were supposed to go to Colombia together, and I was gonna try out my first tandem there and start paragliding there, was what I was thinking. coming. And that trip unfortunately fell through. And then that summer I got injured. And then I was like, oh man, like maybe it's over. Maybe I don't get to go paragliding anymore. Being such a high level, like at the time when I got injured, I didn't know if my arms was moving very much or not, how much function I'd get back in them. And as I got a little bit more function and, 8 months go by, realizing that like my arm movement's probably enough that I'd be able to travel for sure. And probably be able to at least sit in the chair and maybe grab onto the controls and try the brakes. And then we kind of, they were planning a trip down to Colombia in January that year, the year after my injury. And so I did a couple test trips. I went down to the Grand Canyon. I was supposed to do that kayaking that year too, but of course with the injury it wasn't possible. So sent my friends off and down that, and they had a great time. Came home, trip went pretty well. We ended up booking another trip to Mexico. Went diving there with some friends. That was really cool to go with buddy Gustavo, who dove with a bunch in the past, and really cool to be able to do that again for the first time with the quad. It was kind of eye-opening to be like, all right, so this is possible. Both those trips I did with the support of my wife, which was awesome. She was there with a carried and helped the whole time. It kind of made it really easy and flowed really well. And like would never have been able to do it without her on those 2 trips. And on the third one, we're like, all right, let's see if you can do this. Like me and just a carried, and meet up with Shane and Jupiter and Suki and a bunch of them down there in Colombia and see how it goes. We kind of planned this trip and trying to figure it out, what's all going on. And then at the time, they were doing their very first time doing a disabled World Cup in Colombia for the very first time. So when I got there, everyone else was meeting up and a bunch of other people with disabilities and every level from like a low level para to someone that was very similar level to me as a quad. He had like one functioning hand and one non-functioning hand. One tricep sort of thing. So it's like really cool to see someone that like very similar to my level. I got to see, I think there was 23 pilots that year with disabilities. So getting to see 23 different chairs and different styles of flying from all over the world. And I was just like a kid in the candy shop, sitting there at the top of the launch, watching people take off, and at the LZ, watching people land, just so excited. Yeah, I wanted to be there all the time. And like it was so hot as well, being at the level of disability that I have. It's you don't sweat, and so you overheat. And so I'm sitting there with mister and water, and just dousing myself. And, I carried having to put up with that. It was pretty much.
Not to divert, but that's probably something that a lot of people don't realize is the other complications that being quadriplegic presents. Yeah, like you were saying, you don't sweat, and being down in Colombia, it's a hot country. I know, I've been there, and I've got issues with my autonomic nervous system, and my sweat is not regulated normally. And so that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's interesting getting to I traveled a lot as a paraplegic. Got to go all over the world with the national team skiing, and then I got to travel a lot with Andrea after that. And it there was challenges. There's hard things. You still have all these things in your bowel routines, which it's just like the way that you deal with your bowels and handle all of that. It can take up to an hour as a paraplegic with spinal cord injury, and then bladder. So having to use catheters and having to be sanitary and be really careful about all of that. As a paraplegic was all its own thing and a lot to manage and figure out, but it was something that I could manage myself, which was really nice. And it's easy to take those things for granted. And as a quadriplegic, not being able to manage most of that stuff myself is wild. I'm starting to figure out some of it, but not all of it. And yeah, at the time I had very little of it figured out. Like it was always someone else doing all of it, like 100% of it at the time. And then trying to figure out how to travel to another country where your level of sanitary goes down. It's a whole thing. But it was fun. And like, yeah, as you know, it's just, figuring out all those little tweaks and figuring out how to deal with the heat, deal with the sun. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you find traveling from?
I loved it. Yeah, I had to carry spare t-shirts with me because it's weird. Like I don't sweat a lot like on my face, but my back sweats profusely. Like it will just be soaked.
Just soaked.
Yeah, but other parts of my body will be dry. Yeah. It's really weird. Yeah.
You get the intermittent location.
Yeah. So the back of my shirt would always be just drenched. So yeah, I carried different shirts with me, or I would wear like just black shirts.
I'd say like for me, it's funny because like I'd say I'd have to be like, I'm kind of lucky because I don't get drenched. But the thing is I end up drenching myself no matter what. It just takes me a little bit longer, and then I'll just end up dumping water all over myself.
Yeah.
Myself down with a mister, or spend a lot of time in a pool.
Yeah.
Things like that. But yeah, I end up getting just about as sweaty as I did before, and just with regular water.
Does the heat though feel good?
Oh man, the heat, I love it.
Yeah.
It's like, even though like you really struggle to like heat manage and thermally regulate, I love it. It's way better. Getting warm, getting hot isn't the greatest, but like being warm, being in that like 23 to 29 degrees, it's pretty amazing. Once you're past 34, it's pretty hot.
Yeah. Which is the beauty of Colombia. There's quite a few places in Colombia where they call it, well, so for example, Medellin, the city that everyone probably knows about, it's referred to as the city of eternal spring because it's always a very spring-like climate, between that 20 and 29 degree range, which is amazing. Yeah, it's hella nice. Caleb, I'd like you to tell us about your first day of paragliding. Can you remember that day?
Yeah, that day is burnt into my memory perfectly.
Okay.
So my first day of paragliding, I had been in Colombia for 3 days at that point. Yeah, 3 days at that point. And then me and my carried Kate at the time, we were there. We had met Lucio, who was running the program, Wheels for Flying, and doing the first World Cup there with the rest of the athletes. And yeah, they had brought extra chairs for people to be able to take new people up. And yeah, got up to the launch. We'd been sitting there. We had sent everyone else off. There's a few clouds kind of dappling in there, and so like the thermals were really starting to get active and not intense, just starting to show up really nicely. People were getting good lift, and they had almost everyone had pushed out at that point. And yeah, Lucio was like, "Okay, you ready?" And got all our stuff on, checked our safety checks, made sure everything was paid up and checked off with the safe, just to make sure that insurance and all that. And made sure everything was done. And then as we were getting ready, it was got buckled in, sitting on the launch, making sure the wind was kind of flowing up the mountain nicely. Then just Lucio got behind the chair, started doing a little push, and got the wing up above the head. It was super smooth. And as you rolled off, you just like watch the hill kind of like fall off below you, and you could just slowly lift up. I just remember being like, wow, okay, this is it. You're just in the air now as you're flying. And yeah, we kind of push off launch, and we kind of push out a little bit and start to get a little bit of lift. And that was like kind of cool feeling to think about for the first time, being like, okay, we're going up, we're not just going forward and down. And we caught a thermal, started circling it, got a little bit of lift, flew back over launch. started hooting and hollering, having a good time. At that point, Kate had gone, and so she got to take off. Within a minute or two behind me. And then we started kind of flying around each other. That was really cool to do for the first time, like just as a tandem flight for the first time to start going up. And you're like, oh, we're going up. Like I thought we were just going to be doing a sled ride today. And as we're going up, we get to go to cloud base. So we actually went straight up right into the bottom of the clouds. Like you don't actually go in, but like, yeah, just below them. And it got cold. It went from like, it was, I think 29 that day, and it gets hotter in launch. And then once you hit cloud base, you're back to like cold.
Healing.
It's wild how chilly it gets so quickly. And it was great because I have an issue with like getting hot. So I was really hot on launch and kind of overheating, kind of like just hoping to get off. And once we got going, I was like, oh man, I'm like the perfect temperature now. This is amazing. And yeah, flew up for quite a while and got to circle around. Thermal, it's hard to describe on how sweet that is for the very first time. And you're like, wow, flying. On the first flight, we did get to see eagles, which was cool. So we got to thermal with them while we were there, because there's like in Chinche, there's a lot of eagles flying around, and you get to follow them up in.
Cool.
Really cool. And it just like, you get to feel it, like just feel that turn, feel that like movement that I hadn't gotten to feel at that point for a whole year and a bit since my injury. And so even in a rugby chair, you get to turn, but it's not that curving feeling, and it's not that sort of same kind of experience that you do on a bike or in skis and all the other sports that I really enjoyed. I've actually just recently listened to another guy's video, and really like the way that he described it. Gay got to fly this summer, and he described it as carving is universal, and that sticks with me. I just like really, that's it. It's as soon as you make that turn, it's just that's carved. It's like, wow, it's got that same feeling and that same universal experience that all the other sports that I love, and all those things that like kind of got to feel and enjoy. That it's there. And I sitting there, and I was able to get past the controls and feel it for the first time, and got to try thermaling for the first time to that flight for a very short period of time. But even just knowing that I could pull down, I grab the brakes and I could actually apply them enough to actually make the turn. That was the full eye-opening experience in that moment, where it's like, oh, this is possible. Okay, let's do it. Like, let's figure out how to do it now.
I love that, because what I immediately think of is, and it's a little bit like snobbery. Like for me, snowboarding, right? Like it's a little bit of my identity. I've been doing it for a long time, and we were saying you don't want to identify with sport, but it's hard not to, right? It's really hard not to. And as my disability has been progressing, snowboarding has been getting harder for me. And I have this fear of not being able to do it anymore and losing that feeling of carving that I love so much. Sorry, excuse me. And I then think about, like, say, paragliding, and I'm like, well, I'm never going to get that same feeling from paragliding, right? And it's like, you're kind of like high nose type thing. You're like, screw that. So, yeah.
Okay, those two make sense. You see people turning super high and carve. Yeah.
But until you actually go and do it, or you hear someone like yourself talk so passionately about it, you're like, okay, yeah, there are other avenues to get that stoke of the carves.
Yeah. And get the, like, for me, I find it's like, I think about it, and it's really cool the fact that you can get that carve and get that stoke, get that feeling of those turns without having to put in that extreme amount of effort physically as well. Like it is like there are some physically demanding parts of paragliding, but it really, like, that's coming from a C5 quadriplegic, C4 quadriplegic. Like that's that's not a lot of muscles to be using.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's still totally possible where, in like skiing, I get to go out with friends and they can help me carve and I can still kind of feel it and still really like, and we laugh and enjoy it, but it's more about the people that I'm going with at the time.
Yeah.
Than it is about the actual carve and that feeling of like independence and freedom while I'm in there. And yeah, paragliding on the other hand is like, it's all you. It's all that feeling, and if you physically are the one doing it, and you're able to make those choices and you do the turns the way you want to, and choose how adventurous you want it to be, and you don't get held back at all in it, which is really cool.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about the travel aspect and the whole logistics and kind of the trials and tribulations that you go through as a adaptive traveler. Colombia, as you've said, is a hot spot to go paragliding. You were recently down in Utah, and sorry, did you drive down there? Or did you fly?
We've done both. So we were there last year, and we flew that time, and this time you drove to Utah and Salt Lake City to meet up with Project Airtime and Superfly with Chris from Project Airtime. And so it was really cool to get to drive this time and have my van and experience that whole kind of element of living in and around the area. We spent a good amount of time there. We spent a month, or actually 2 months almost all together there. It was super cool to be able to meet up there. It's really, if you want to learn to paraglide with a disability, and generally learn how to paraglide, that's kind of the spot to do it. In, I'd say, North America, there's definitely a few other spots you can do it at, but you can pretty much fly every day there. We flew most days that we were there. There was a couple small breaks, which were necessary just mentally, never mind, because of the weather. But we got to fly most mornings. You have this nice gravel pit that you get to spend time in. So south side's in a gravel pit, which is hilarious. It's like a kind of funny little spot. You're in Utah, which is now a huge city, very big sprawling area, urban, everywhere, paved everything, big McMansions and those kind of things that people love, myself. But you drive into the south side, and the first thing you do is you turn off left, you end up on a gravel road, and there's dump trucks and there's things driving around, and you're like, what? It's like, what? This is where we're gonna go paragliding? Yeah, cool. Right off the I-15, and you get onto a gravel road. You're like, okay, and then you see people, their gliders drop and they're kiting at the top of the hill or kiting at the bottom of the hill, and drive in. People are flying. It's super cool. It just gives such an amazing training location that you can be right there. You're so close to the ground at the time that every move that you make is so dramatic and so obvious that, like, when something goes, like, you don't do exactly what you're supposed to, or you're feeling and learning, it tells you instantly. Where, like, when you're quite high in the air and you do something, your wing can do something funny and it'll recover no problem, and you won't know what you did wrong, or you don't know what, not even wrong, you won't even know, like, the difference. Where when you're closer to the ground, it's really dramatic, and it really shows that when you're kiting your wing, you get to do all of the things that would happen in the air while still on the ground, reasonably in control of things, and you'll have your frontal happen because you let the brakes up too much, and because you're still sitting on the ground, it's just so dramatic that the wing, it just tells you instantly. So you get to spend hours and hours and hours and hours learning how to do that. And the wind is so consistent there that you're able to, which is so cool.
Yeah, so what is the process of learning how to paraglide? Like, What are the different levels like?
Yeah, definitely. So my process was a fun one. But we'll go. Technically, the levels are you have your tandem flight for your first like experience, and then to learn you have your P1 rating is the first rating that you would get. Your second ratings P2, P3, P4. In there, your P1 is kind of like instructor. You know what a wing is. You know how to somewhat handle your wing. You know how to communicate with the instructor. You should be able to listen. Those are kind of like the requirements. There are technically more requirements than that, but those are like the basic ones that you really want to know if you have your P1. And then, and you've been given the whole safety spiel and you understand what the features are. After that, your P2 is where you have done, I think it's 25 flights in Canada. I think it's 25 or 35 in the US, where you've done at least minimum of that amount of flights. You've spent a minimum of, I think, 8 hours of school time doing ground school and the theory behind paragliding. You know, the FFA rules, all that fun stuff. So that's like your P2. And at that point, you can fly off of radio. You can fly off radio. It's where you're going to become an independent pilot. And then after 100 hours of that, of flying and spending time doing that, I'm pretty sure that's the qualifications for P3. There's a bunch of other things, knowing how to thermal, spending time thermaling. And then from there, you do a P4 rating, which is you need in Europe if you want to fly off radio, and a bunch of spaces there and whatnot. Yeah, so those are kind of levels. You can learn how to tandem, be a tandem pilot after that as well. But yeah, that's kind of like the basics steps that more we could get into. Yeah.
Well, what are your goals for it then? Do you want to go all the way? Would you like to be an instructor one day?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to be an instructor yet in paragliding.
A lot of responsibility.
It's a lot of responsibility. You know, it's like the sport is inherently a dangerous sport. Like you are up in the air and you do your best to mitigate those risks. But like as an instructor, you don't take on anyone's risk because that's what you're doing and you're making that choice yourself. But you still want to make sure every one of your students doesn't get injured.
Yeah.
As a kayak instructor, that's my biggest goal, was to make sure that people want to continue doing the sport.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's always a disappointment, but I always hit hard when someone stopped kayaking because of whatever reason, if they got scared of a swim, if something happened, that I felt like I needed to do better. And so if like paragliding would be a very similar thing for someone like Chris that's been doing it for years, and definitely seen his whole share of it. Imagine the level of that. But right now my goal is to fly.
Yeah.
And so
and carve.
Yeah, in fact, enjoy that feeling, and do it reasonably independently, and and with friends at the same time. As much as you're like doing it by yourself, you're in the air by yourself, you still get to fly with a bunch of people, which is super cool. To have people at the launch, hang out after. It's amazing that way.
Yeah.
So that's currently my goal, is to kind of do that and learn how to do it the best I can. Similar to what I did in skiing and similar to doing hiking. Love to do that for paragliding.
Cool beans. And here in Terrace, I know that people paraglide here, but how accessible is adaptive paragliding here?
So, as far as I know, Terrace isn't 100% accessible yet to adaptive paragliding. The launch, I'm pretty sure if we will be able to launch there in the coming future, it does need some work. The trail to the launch is the big crux right now, as far as I've been told. I haven't got to see it yet, but that's the place that needs to work. Is the trail itself is fairly, like, they hike in. It's a pretty boggy trail. So hopefully we'll get some more work done on that and make it very easy to roll in. but it's looking very close to the future here. I was kind of hoping to come home and get to do it, but with this month and a bit of rain, not looking so much like that's going to happen now.
Yeah.
It's snowing up on the launch already, so it sounds like that's definitely a next year prototype. Then, but that's hopefully next year's plan is to be flying off of Terrace and a local site, and and just do his sled slides, being safe, doing it the right way. That's kind of the plan right now.
Nice.
Where I guess if we're talking about goals, that's my goal is be able to fly here. I haven't actually done any solo flying in Colombia yet. I've only done tandem flights there. So that's this winter's goal is to go there, do a bunch of solo fly and really enjoy it, learn it, get comfortable with thermals, get comfortable with that different kind of mountain air experience, and come home. And hopefully go back down to the States for a bit in the spring and hopefully start flying here.
Heck yeah. So lots of flying in the future.
Yeah, definitely lots of flying. It's paragliding is a very similar sport to kayaking and skiing, where you gotta put the time.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to do it well and you want to actually enjoy it, it's a lot of time doing it.
Yeah.
Where if you dabble in kayaking, you touch it here and there, and you go and you do your rolling sessions, and then you do a couple runs, and then you don't do it for a month or 4, and you come back and you try it again, you're going to be right back in 0, right?
Yeah.
It don't really absorb it. It takes that time, and putting in a lot of time, getting to that like proficient level that you can absorb it and hold on to it, and then every time you go back to it, it's a lot easier to like spend that time kiting and get comfortable again really quickly, versus that like feeling like you're back at 0 every time you go out.
Yeah. So for a person that is thinking about getting into adaptive paragliding, what advice would you give them? Like what is, use this word again, what is the process?
Definitely. I did it in an interesting way, which was like blind, no shoot anything about it. Really on the adaptive side, just kind of heard it from friends that have done it from like on the Elflugget side. I should have reached out to Sam, and I should have checked out people online and found out how they had to learn. That would have helped a lot.
Done your due diligence.
Research and due diligence, but I don't always learn that way. I can kind of cowboy things usually.
I hear you, me too.
My process, as you've heard, is like go to Colombia, meet all of these really cool people, and they kind of introduced me and taught me and showed me the ropes, and then kind of learned. But what I would say, like my advice in the process that I would suggest to do is, reach out, learn who instructors are. There's like in BC here, we have David Stanek, great tandem pilot, great instructor, running really cool program called Adaptive Airtime. He'll get you up for your very first time, and he'll teach you, and it's great. And then in Salt Lake City, they have a world-class program. It's definitely the best in North America. You can't beat that time on that hill. And with like, you're just so close to your instructor the whole time. The hill's 300 feet tall. That's it. So it doesn't take long to get to the bottom, and you get to take off, and you get to land, and you get to take off, you get to land, and you get to kite, and you get to kite, and you get to kite.
Nice.
I'd say like the process, if I was to do it again, and how I'd want to do it is I'd want to get a hold of Chris from Superfly, and then Chris from Project Airtime. Chris from Project Airtime is who I'd want to get a hold of. I'd want to go to Salt Lake and learn how to kite, because the wind there is so laminar, it's so clean. So I'd say the process, if someone was interested in getting into it, is get a hold of Chris, show up. He doesn't always communicate best, so it's kind of like get a hold of him, make sure he knows you're coming, and then show up, and he'll be there, and start there. There's so many mentors that come to Salt Lake as well, like Joe Stone rolls in there often, and he's an amazing paraglider, been doing it for years. Neil Baggett also is an awesome paraglider, super cool guy, and he's there often. He's in Montana, so it's not that far from to go. And Brendan, and he's on the West Coast, in California area. He's flying there. He comes down. There's a bunch of them that like do often go to Salt Lake City. So when you're going there, like, yeah, hopefully you can have a friend that shows up, which would be like any one of those people. Because flying with another buddy is a lot of fun. And then there's Wes. He's in Salt Lake right now. Wes Stone, how ironically. Stone. In there, and he's been really charging over the last year and learning how to do it. But yeah, it's really cool to be able to fly with all those people. I'd say the process, show up there, learn where it's like super consistent. And then come back, and wherever your hometown is, wherever closest area to paragliding that's safe for you is kind of where you want to be able to paraglide. So that's what you're working towards. Yeah. For me, it's Terrace and Smithers, and that's kind of the goal. And southern BC, we got to fly there, and it's really fun. But yeah, I'd say go there first. Go to Salt Lake, learn, and then bring those skills out into the real world, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice. And what is it like from a financial standpoint? Is it expensive to get into, like, or is it expensive to go and do, like, obviously it's expensive to go to these places to travel, you have that added expense, but is it expensive to do like flight schools? Like, is the gear, well, what are the costs associated with it?
Definitely. Just like any adventure sport, it can be as expensive as you want it to be. Adaptive sport on its own is an extremely expensive thing to do. But paragliding, I'd say, is in that like mid ground of like pricey sports, kind of similar to mountain biking, not adaptive mountain biking, but similar to mountain biking, where like, I guess even snowboarding now is expensive, and skiing is...
Heck yeah, it is.
Yeah, as I start to think about it. And I always think about these things as like when I was a kid, when I was learning. But now it's, it's pricier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess if we're looking at it, paragliding, it's not cheap, but it's not a powered sport. Powered sport, as we all know, if you get into style whaling, anything's dirt biking, racing cars, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's super expensive. It's still a non-powered sport, so it's cheaper that way, but it's still, your wing is somewhere in the $4,000 to $5,000 range, harness, all that fun stuff. So you're still looking at like some big numbers.
And your chair?
I think your chairs are about $5,000.
Wow. Okay, so we're getting up there. We're getting to over the $10,000 mark. Yep. Pretty quick.
That's just the two basic things, right?
Yeah.
Or two main things that you have, and then you have all the other things that you have, like need to have your helmet. You need to have your harness. Actually, I think the harness is actually included in the chair. But that being said, the programs that are out there for paragliding right now are amazing. Especially with disability. In BC here, David Stanek does it at zero cost to the athlete. So he'll set you up in a chair for the first time, tandem, for free, get you going, teach you. It's so amazing.
Nice. So reducing the barriers.
Massively.
Yeah, which is rad.
Yeah, I'd say it like making it easier to do the sport as a person with a disability than it is as a person without a disability. They reduce it to that level because they understand that with your disability that you've already had such a hard time to get in there in the first place.
Yeah.
And so, and so just even showing up, they understand that you're committed and you really want to do it. So it's with the programs that they have there, Adaptive Airtime's doing, and they're copying what Project Airtime has done, and Chris, and they do a really good job at like getting people into it. If you're committed to it, they'll help you out, figure out how to get things going, lend you a chair to start with, make it work. They want you flying. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. I love when people are making it more accessible for people to get involved.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, Caleb. we could talk about a lot of things and keep this recording rolling, but yeah, let's end it with that. I think that was a good way to kind of close it up, and I appreciate you coming on the pod again. And yeah, to everyone that's listening, I hope you enjoyed it, and keep following. There'll be more episodes in the future.
Yes, thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I would love that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Sweet. Later, guys.